Well, for the situation of Japan, the first question is helping shape decisions of the Prime Minister about Japan joining or not joining the negotiations. So for those of us who are already in the soup, it's a different problem. For a country that is not yet in this problem, then the question is how between now and when the Prime Minister goes to the United States on the visit at the end of April or beginning of May, and then how after that, depending on what he says, but either way, is there public pressure. And in the past campaigns, there have typically been two simultaneous tracks of activity. The most important one is getting out the word publicly, because it's very important that outside, in the public, there is a broad reaction to potential problems and threats. And the overview that I did is just a summary. There are many very good materials, I can borrow one of these, that describe in more detail the problems. There are books that describe the problems. But for everyone who is an activist, in your community, if it is environment, if it is health, if it is a Facebook group, if it is a co-op, if it is a labor union, to make sure that the other people in your association are able to learn. Because the media is not helping. In all the countries, the media is not talking about this, or if it is saying a version that is a sales job, that is not providing the right information. So, the first thing is to get out the word to the people who relate to the issues you care about. And unfortunately, the threat is so broad. You can pick whatever issue is the issue you think will be most compelling, because there are many different kinds of problems, from jobs to health, to food security, to agriculture, to internet freedom. There are so many issues. Number two, for organizations that have relationships with government ministers, with the heads of prefectures, with parliamentarians from the Diet, it is very important to work on the inside at the same time, to demand that the government represents your interests and not give away these rights and necessary policies. It is necessary to do both, because in the end, the decision will be political. So the policy fight is very important, but the decision will be political. And in the end, when countries either have not gotten to the agreement, or countries have said, no, I will not agree to this, I cannot, it is only because the political liability of saying yes to the bad idea is even more painful than having to say no to the big corporations. So for many of the politicians, the question that must be in the back of their head is, could I lose my election? Could my party have a permanent problem if we are associated with this? In the cases I described where there has been success, for instance with the free trade area of the Americas, ultimately there were 3 or 4 governments that said, no, we cannot do this. Why? Because they knew, because there was so much popular upset about a few important things: investor stakes, the medicine prices, the giving away of the government procurement money, that these were so important. If they said yes to the corporations, they could not go home, because they would not have a job themselves. That is the dynamic of popular upset that must be created, as well as the inside work on specific issues, and that only happens if there is outreach and education. That is what I have learned over the years of working on these different agreements. Where there has been success, it can be done.